What's up, Gear Immortals? Trey, Xavier here. On today's edition of Gear Gods Quality Control, we're going to be taking a look at this Raptor 6 from Skervesen Guitars. Skervesen is a guitar shop in Gdansk, Poland that I was lucky enough to visit on my trip to Europe just last month. Bunch of really cool dudes, great shop, super attention to detail, cranking out really top-notch instruments, and as you can see, just beautiful looking guitars that are playable works of art. They build custom guitars in the sense that you can take one of their base models and choose all the different options on it. They're also willing to do customizations above and beyond that. You can't just give them a design on a napkin and say, build me this shape, as far as I know, but they'll customize just about anything on the guitar beyond that. This one was not built for me. This one was built for stock, basically, and they picked out all the parts and all the colors and all the different woods and everything themselves and just sent it to me to try out. And even though a lot of the choices on this particular guitar are ones that I might not have made. For example, I tend to like a much lighter colored neck wood, but in spite of that, this is still a beautiful, fantastic guitar that I love, because no matter what specs and finishes you pick out for your guitar, it's made by the same dudes in the same shop. From what I can tell, they really, really give a shit about making sure that their guitars are really, really super duper sick. This kind of style of guitar is a bit of a heavy metal machine, so I'm gonna play some high gain stuff through it for you. How's that sound? This is the Raptor model. Obviously, it is at least somewhat based on the Black Machine guitar. It's got the sort of their take on what I like to call the harpoon headstock. I really like this headstock design, even though it's you know, sort of derivative once again of the Black Machine style headstock with this little cutout here and like, oh, ow. I cut myself, I didn't cut myself. Just the general sort of super strat stylings of the whole thing and this particular kind of arm contour here all adds up to the same basic general design aesthetic as that Black Machine thing. But you don't have to spend $10,000 or whatever and wait a billion years for one. One super cool little detail that I've never seen on any other guitar ever, as far as I can remember, is this little mute behind the strings. This is something I do for all of my guitars that have headstocks, is I always mute behind the nut with something. I usually take like a piece of foam or even just a Groove Gear fret wrap, and I'll boop, lie it across or underneath the strings to keep these from ringing out while I'm playing, because just sympathetic vibrations make them ring and it bothers me to no end. Skervesen have included a little mute to do just that. It's quite a bit smaller than the ones that I usually use. It helps a lot. I didn't find that this took care of it entirely. Depending, of course, on like how much gain you're using, how hard you hit, it might still be a little bit of a problem, but this is still extremely cool. I've never seen anything like that before. On this guitar, we've got the Hipshot open gear locking tuners. We've got dark wood neck. I see Purple Heart stripes. This is an ebony fretboard. We've got some nice wood bobbin pickups here that really complement the aesthetic of the whole thing. These are bare knuckle pickups of some kind. We've got a Hipshot bridge. I really like this bridge. I have several guitars that have this kind of bridge on here. I think it's one of the best hardtail bridges out there. It's very low profile, it looks nice, but of course they'll accommodate your whatever kind of bridge you like. Schaller Hannes, you know, Floyd Rose, I'm pretty sure you can get any of those. This is a beautiful shade of blue. I don't know if it's getting picked up in the camera, but blue is actually my favorite color. Even though I usually buy white guitars, I actually love blue in general much more so. You know what it looks like? It looks like a nice little tropical island in the middle of a beautiful blue ocean. It's very soothing to me to look at this. Single knob just for the volume, and then you might be confused, why are there two three-way toggle switches? This right here is ye old three-way pickup selector switch for the two humbuckers here, and then this one has what's called
World Domination Mod.
That's a pretty big name for a little switch here, but when it's in this position, it's just regular old humbuckers. In the middle, it splits the coils. So like, whatever selection you're on, it's split into single coils. And then when we go to this last position on the World Domination mod, we have this like acoustic simulator type of a sound. It's not a piezo pickup, or even a piezo pickup, or a piezo pickup. It's none of those things, and those are all the same thing. It's some kind of circuit, the proprietary design of Skervesen's, and it sounds basically like an acoustic guitar. Like, I mean, it doesn't sound like a nicely mic'd up pre-war Martin, but it sounds like an acoustic guitar, and for a solid body electric guitar, that's pretty good, especially considering they did it without those quacky, honky piezo pickups that most guitars use to achieve that sound. And I think you can get really great sounds out of those, but it takes a little bit of work, a little bit of post-processing. This one sounds pretty convincing right out of the box. So sort of the downside to this is if you just picked up this guitar and you had no idea what this was, you could be plugged into a pretty heavy, high gain sound and be like, this sounds weird. If you have it on this mode while you're playing high gain sounds, it's pretty honky, it's pretty nasally and kind of weird sounding. You might think that it's not a good sounding guitar, but it's not your fault. It's because nobody told you that you gotta have it down here on humbuckers. So that's an option that you can order on your Skervesen. It's an option that you can't get on any other guitar as far as I know, because it's a proprietary Skervesen design. So that's pretty cool. If you want that, it's gotta be on one of these guitars. So not a whole lot else going on this guitar, just a super, super solidly made, beautiful, extremely well playing and comfortable guitar. The neck is sort of an asymmetrical, but still pretty round. Not super thin, but definitely extremely comfortable. Once again, the control layout, like pretty much everything else on the guitar, is gonna be up to you. I think this is a pretty good control layout for what I do. I don't use acoustic sounds all that often, but it's pretty cool to have, and to also have the coil split, that's pretty savage. I like that a lot. The offset staggered dots layout, that's starting to be kind of a pretty standard thing on modern, especially metal guitars. I really like that because I'm a basic bitch and I like to play riffs and then leads, so it helps me keep track of where I'm at, and I think it looks pretty cool. I think when we look back in 10, 15, 20, 30 years, we're gonna look at like the, you know, 2014 to 2020. This was a thing that kind of defined guitars of the era. And I really like it. I hope it doesn't become dated because then I'm gonna feel kind of dumb. So I don't need to tell you that the Raptor design is sick as hell. You can see that from looking at it. What I do need to tell you is that it also plays as good as it looks. It feels even better. And this one sounds pretty good. I think these pickups aren't really exactly to my taste, but the fact of the matter is, once again, that's going to be up to you to decide what kind of pickups you're gonna get out of it. Everything else about this guitar is top notch. There are no finish flaws that I can see. The finish and binding, the way the wood are put together, the construction, everything about it is, from what I can tell, flawless. There's some stuff on here that I'm pretty sure is extremely tricky to do. For example, this binding here goes from a regular old plastic type of binding into this masked edge kind of a binding, and it's just so smooth. It sort of tapers off and tapers on. I don't know if that's a thing. Overall, just as far as I can tell, a completely flawless execution of this design. A guitar like this is going to put you back a pretty penny. It depends a lot on the options that you get, but it's, no matter what, it is not going to be a cheap guitar. Of course, I only have this one in my hands. I can't speak to the quality of every guitar that they've ever made, but if this guitar is any indication of the quality of the guitar that you will get if you order from them, then you should order with confidence. You should expect an extremely well-made instrument and something that looks like $1 bajillion. So I'm pretty stoked on this one. I'm sad that I'm gonna have to send it back, but make sure that you subscribe so that you can see when my Skervesen comes, because I don't know if you've seen my other videos in which I order a Skervesen, but I've got an 8-string, what's called the Scurve 10 on order with specs that I picked out for everything. It's customized to my liking. It's gonna be the color and wood that I want. So if you wanna see a review of a Skervesen that I actually ordered to my personal specifications, then you're gonna wanna mash that subscribe button, smack the bell, and drop us a like for more reviews and original content. And I'll see you real soon.